The most common misunderstanding about boundaries is that setting or holding a boundary is mean, harsh, or bad. That by setting a boundary, we have to be mean to someone else. And people who believe this kind of have in the back of their minds this idea that in order to set boundaries, you kind of have to balance out being kind and being mean to someone while still loving them. I mean, no wonder people shy away from holding boundaries, because no one wants to be mean. So let's look into this a little bit more. People often associate saying yes or giving someone something with being kind and loving. And they associate saying no or being firm, direct, or harsh with someone as being unkind or hateful. Well, let's look into this a little bit more closely, because that is not a fair association. We can say yes with love in our hearts, or we can say yes with hate in our hearts. And we can say no with love or hate in our hearts. So let's take a look at this chart. On the top of this chart, we can see two categories: being loving and being hateful or resistant, right? So where is our heart when we're doing a certain action? And is called The Way of Being by the Arbinger Institute. And it's talking about our deeper motivations or our intentions. Are they selfless or selfish? And on the left side of this chart, we're talking about soft or hard behaviors. So what type of behaviors we're talking about. Now, it's easy to think of the soft and loving behaviors, saying things like, yes, I'll listen to you, or yes, I'll give you that toy that I know you've been wanting for a long time, or yes, I'll let you go visit your friend because I trust you and I believe that you're going to be where you say you're going. So that's the soft, loving corner of this chart. The bottom right corner are the hard behaviors with a resistant or hateful heart, right? And these are easy to understand as well. So let's take a look at them. They're screaming, yelling, holding a grudge, any kind of physical violence, right? These are hard behaviors that come from a selfish, angry, or hateful place. Trying to force someone to change, saying no just because you're mad at someone, right? So these are the two opposite ends of the spectrum, and people often think that's kind of the only way to do it. If we say yes, we're being loving. If we say no, we're being hateful. Well, let's talk about what it looks like if we're saying yes, if we're being soft, having gentle behaviors while holding hate or selfishness in our hearts. What does that look like? This is called soft resistant. So let's think of a parent who doesn't want to deal with their kid anymore. They might say, sure, yeah, go watch TV. I just don't want to deal with you right now, is what they're saying in their heads. Or a parent in the grocery store, they're checking out, there's candy in the aisle, the kid starts screaming or asking for candy. The parent says yes, not because they think it's what's good for the child in this situation, but because they just don't want to hear the kid screaming. They're uncomfortable with the way other people look at them. They, for their own discomfort, are saying yes to the child. That's considered soft resistant. Right? So giving in a selfish way. Here's another example. Think of two people who are dating, and the one says, I love you, and the other one says, I love you too, but they don't really mean it. They're actually planning on breaking up with that person, but they don't want to, have to have an awkward conversation or an uncomfortable conversation, so they just kind of avoid it. Maybe they'll break up with the person through text message or just stop talking to them altogether. Now, this isn't because they're trying to be kind or loving to that other person. It's because they don't want to feel that discomfort. So to protect themselves, they're just being all soft and sweet, but in their heart, in their mind, they know they don't want to be with this person anymore. Now, it's not hateful to break up with someone, but it is selfish to not be upfront with them, to protect yourself from feeling that discomfort. A couple more examples, like being passive-aggressive or sucking up to a teacher. You're treating them really nicely to get something from them. These are all examples of being soft resistant. Now, let's go to the other corner of this box. How is it possible to be hard with your behavior while still being loving? I'm going to ask you right now, is it possible to go shove a little kid right into the road and he gets all scraped up, hit him hard maybe, right? Could that ever be a loving behavior? Well, yes, if a car is coming, right? If a car is coming to hit this kid and you push them out of the way of the car and they get skinned knees, that's the most loving thing you can do for them in that moment. Now, I'm obviously not advocating physical violence, but I'm saying that almost all behaviors can be done from two different places from a loving, selfless place or a hateful, selfish place. So, saying no more TV. Yes, you must brush your teeth. No, you can't buy that toy right now. These are all ways to lovingly help provide a positive future and discipline for a child, if they're coming from a place of love. I once had this boss who's amazing, and he told me a story about a time when he fired someone with so much love and concern for their future that they thanked him afterward and said, I just really appreciate you looking out for me by firing me, right? He fired someone out of love for them. And it was because, the job just wasn't the right place for them to be. They weren't able to do a good job for the other people there. They needed to be somewhere else. So, this is the hard, loving side of things. I hope that by taking a look at this chart, we're able to let go of this false idea that saying no is just this mean thing we have to do and balance out with, being nice. Saying no can be one of the kindest, most loving things we do for someone. People respond more to our intentions than whether we're saying yes or no. People will feel when you're saying no to them, they can feel that you care about them when you do it. Some people might get confused by this, thinking that what I'm saying is we should let people walk all over us, or we should allow people to take advantage of us, or we should never really, do anything harsh to someone else. And that's absolutely not what I'm saying. If someone's mistreating you, is it really in their best interest that you don't put your foot down? No. In general, the reason people don't set boundaries is because they're afraid of being mean, they're afraid of feeling guilty, or they're afraid of feeling scared. So the reason they're not setting that boundary is not for the other person. They're not trying to be kind to the other person. They're trying to prevent themselves from feeling uncomfortable. It's selfish. Setting boundaries with someone else or telling them no can be the kindest thing we do for them and the most honest thing we do for ourselves. But to do it, we have to allow ourselves to experience our emotions. Now, remember, the way we get healthier is not just about feeling better, but it's about getting better at feeling. So we allow ourselves to feel a little bit of discomfort as we set these boundaries, and we're going to get a lot better at it. So just to sum things up, let's let go of the idea that setting boundaries is mean and focus instead on where our heart is when we're making these choices about boundaries, right? Let's focus our intentions on being kind, loving, and seeing what the other person needs. I hope this was helpful, and thanks for watching.